Hello friends, welcome to this little tutorial for my little nature sketchbook. So I was absolutely positively inspired by this paper, the Woodland Friends. Love it so much. My favorite line was the nature sketchbook, and now this one is possibly has taken that place, but we're getting them both at the same time, which is amazing. So that was my inspiration in creating this little sort of art journal nature sketchbook. So I've already given you some of the measurements and so forth in the written instructions, but I'll just go over it again. So by now you should have your front and back cover. So what I've done is I've got, for the front and back cover, I've got a piece of the chipboard, the craft chipboard, 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then I cut another piece 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. So I've doubled up. Now I didn't double up where the holes are punched. I just doubled up the base, and this is just to give it a little bit more stability and strength for like when you're drawing or painting on it as a base. So you should have your front and back cover like that, and then your inside pieces are cut to about 6 1/8 by 4. Now they can vary. I've got smaller pieces in there, but 6 1/8 by 4 would probably be your maximum size for inside. So that works perfectly with these, which are your ephemera cards. They're perfect to add in here. I absolutely love them. So what I've done is I use the 8 by 8 paper to cut pages as well, because the images are perfect sizes for that as well. So these pages too. So, and then I've just got other little bits and pieces of paper in here, just some other like note paper. This I just had kicking around, this really unique sort of metallic gold paper. And so I've just sort of done a mix of things in here. And also I did my watercolor paper because I wanted to be able to do watercolors. So this is a Strathmore watercolor paper that are actually postcards. So you can see this here. So I had a book of that. So I just, you didn't have to cut them or anything. They're perfect size. I just had to put cut the circles, the holes. And so have fun with cutting your paper, choosing what you want, getting it in the right order that you like. That's the fun part. And then we're going to bind the book to create a little book like this. Okay, so if you have a cinch machine, number one, I'm envious because I love those. I don't have one of my own. I've always had access to one when I was working, but unfortunately I'm not working now, so I'm doing it the old-fashioned way, which means I hand punched all these holes with the good old-fashioned punch. Probably bought this at Staples a million years ago. So what I did was I created a template and then just used that template to cut my holes for each page. Now remember, when you're doing that your inside pages are slightly smaller than your cover, right? So your template should be accordingly. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's like 1/8 of an inch here and here and about 1/4 of an inch on this side. So just remember when you create your template that it needs to be centered sort of within your cover, and then if you make the template the same size as the interior pieces, and then just create all your holes like that. Also, when you're cutting, it's a really good idea to make sure you're holding the template and your paper sort of the right side up each time, because they will vary slightly. So just as an example, say you were to turn this page around, your holes aren't going to match up in the same manner when you're hand punching like this. So when you're punching, just remember to punch sort of as you go along. The big thing, I think, when making little books like this is not to handle. Sometimes we tend to work with things like this and we're holding it like this and then we're laying it down like this, or we're laying it down like this, and things get kind of mixed up. And that's where you end up sort of maybe getting the holes on the wrong side, or you might end up in the middle of the book having a page that's upside down. So I always suggest it's really important to sort of keep your project in front of you as you're working on it, as though it's just like a book. And And so make sure that your template, maybe on your template you might write on the top just the word top, so you know when your template and you've got your piece of paper, that's top, as opposed to doing it like this, if that is making sense. So there's just a few little tips. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to put them on the coil binder, and there is a little trick to that. Now, as far as your coil goes, I literally just collect these from notebooks. I'm a bit of a notebook freak. I have regular cheap notebooks that I get from the dollar store. And that's just for when I'm doing like quick notes that I don't want to be tidy, like a grocery list, and then I can just rip it out and take it with me. And so I do use these sorts of notebooks, just cheap ones from the dollar store. And then when I'm done with the notebook, I will take the covers off and I will keep these coils and keep them in my stash and use them for projects. So that's what I've done with this, and I love this one. It's kind of a coppery, bronzy, I don't know, but I love the color of this one, and it worked perfect for this project. So I just excuse me, measured what I needed, how many holes I needed, and so forth, and then I just cut with a little pair of wire cutters, cut it to size, and that's my coil that I'm using. So the trick now your coil, you're going to want to lay it like that, okay? So I don't know if you can see how that is. So you want to be on the right hand side is where you're going to be threading your pages, okay? Now the trick to this is that you want to take your back cover and you want to turn it around to your front like that, okay? And then you're going to bind your page, your book, like this, okay? So I'm going to show you that again. So if this is your book and this is your back cover and your book opens like this, okay, what you're going to do is you're actually going to take the back page and you're going to flip it like this onto the front, okay? So now what you're doing is you're looking actually at the inside back cover here. I know it's kind of confusing, but this is the way it's done. Now what you want to do is you want to put your pages on your coil like this, okay? Now to do that, what I normally do is I now turn this back like this, and then I'm adding my papers this way. So this, you're actually starting from the last page of your book and going forward. So I'm going to do it that way. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Actually, I'm just going to leave that in place. So aren't these papers just stunning, stunning papers? I love them so much. Now this one I sort of wanted lower on the page so you could see the word notes. So it's just attaching to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6 of those. So I'm leaving this one out. So this actually has 8 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And then my postcard watercolor paper and more of these ephemera cards. Now this one's narrower, this little piece, so it's not actually hooking onto a top or bottom piece. It's just going right in the center. So you're just simply basically threading all your pages in like this. This is just an old vintage piece of dictionary paper. Some more note paper. This is being centered as well. Sometimes you can do a couple pages at a time. More dictionary paper. That's a cute little page that I'll do a tutorial on one day. This is just a little tab for little index cards, kind of a vintage one, and I just put the letter E in there for my name because I'm going to be keeping this book because I love it. This one again will be centered. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. That's the fun part. You're just doing it however you're so inclined and inspired at the time, as far as what order or what kind of papers you want to put in here. But start with your base pattern paper that absolutely inspires you, like for this sketchbook, it's the Woodland Friends. Okay, so now we're adding this piece and we're adding this piece. Okay, so it seemed like an odd way to do that, but you just have to trust the process. So now what we're doing is we're just pinching these together. And you just want to, again, if you have the cinch machine, you're way ahead of the game, which is wonderful because it does it for you. But in this case, we're making do. So we're pinching these pieces together. And you're kind of just basically barely making them touch, but you want to have them tight enough so that you're not going to actually have papers slip out from the coil, which is sort of the whole point. So squeeze those all together. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's those. So now what happens is when you open this up now and you've got your book, you've got your cover and all your inside pages. And the way that the trick goes with the covers is that now this kind of uglier part here that's pinched together, it's not seen. So it's not seen on the outside and it's not seen on the front. It's only seen on the very back. And so that's the point of putting the pages on in that fashion that I showed you, is so that these seams here, which isn't the most attractive, will actually be hidden in the very back of your book. Okay, and there you have it. You've got your little bound book, and this is great. This chipboard, and because I doubled up the chipboard, so if you're going to take this out and you're going to go for a little walk, or you're going to go to the beach and you want to do some watercolor painting, and you've got your paper in here, this works as a great surface to do that on. It's sturdy and it's hard. I put pockets in here too to add little things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just finish up my little project. I'm going to do something on the cover. Like most of my journals, I don't do anything too fancy here because I do like to use them, and they're kind of going in and out of a backpack or a purse, and I don't do anything too fancy or they're going to get just destroyed. And I'm also going to put an elastic on here to keep this closed, because this probably will grow too if I put some, you know, if I decide to put some pressed flowers in here or leaves or something like that. So there you go. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope that explained how to do it. And I hope you make one for yourself and use it, because it's just so beautiful. This paper is perfect for this kind of a subject. So I will finish up this and then do another little bit of a walkthrough. So thank you so much for watching, and have a very creative day. Bye bye everyone.